Hey viewers, I recently bought this vintage Italian road bike here. It's Atala, probably from about 1974, handmade in Italy. Pretty cool. Needs a lot of work, a lot of cleanup mostly. Anyway, one of the things I noticed is the bottom bracket here has just a ton of play in there. So if I go ahead and just move the cranks, there's like a ton of play in the bottom bracket. So the first thing I'm going to do is overhaul the bottom bracket. So that's what I'm going to do tonight. We'll start off by removing these cottered cranks here. And so I got like a 10 millimeter socket here, and I'm going to remove this little lock nut here. And so just take that off. And get this washer off as well. And next I'm going to use my homemade cotter pin press tool. And I have a video on how I made this, but I'm going to use this to push this pin out here. So just slide this on into place here. Actually kind of move that a little bit. Get this in and get this positioned there and kind of get this start tightened down a little bit. Then I can use a adjustable wrench to kind of hold this steady here and then tighten this down to start pressing that thing out. Well, the pin press isn't working very well. It's just kind of bending the pin over. It's just in there very tight. So I sprayed a little bit of penetrating oil in there, so hopefully that'll help break it loose. But I'm gonna have to go to a different method here. Okay, like a little bit more of a brute force here is I'll just pound the thing out. Sometimes that'll work, but actually it is kind of already loose there. Okay, so I'll get a little punch here and kind of get this, see if I can tap this guy out of there. And now it's kind of bent in there, but see if I can get it straightened. See if I can get it bent back a little bit. And now see if I can tap it out. Yeah, that pin's not going to be salvageable. Well, got one crank off. Now I'm thinking this pin has been replaced because notice how far it's sticking out that side, and it's rusted quite a bit different than the other pins. So I think this pin has been replaced. And so again, I'm going to go ahead and remove this little lock nut here and the washer. And I'm going to take another stab at my pin press on this side, see if it works on this side, and get that in place here. And gonna get this tightened down. And before I get too far, I'm gonna spray a little bit of penetrating oil in there, just kind of see if help that get loosened up there. And use my wrench here to hold that. I think this side's gonna work. Yeah, this side broke loose, so I'll tap the pin out of there. And got that crank off as well. Okay, so now that I got the cranks off, I can start removing the bottom bracket here. So I'm going to remove this lock ring. That looks like it's been a bit abused there over time, so this should remove by turning it counterclockwise. So I'm using a tool, Park Tool HCW5, little spanner here. And kind of get this into place here and turn that. And oh, it looks like even the adjustable cup here is coming out as well. So, oh, there comes the lock ring. Now the lock ring is, well, it's still kind of turning the adjustable cup, but they're both kind of coming out, which is fine because I want to remove them both anyway. Okay, so there we go. And so now I'll remove the adjustable cup here. And I don't know if there's cage bearings in there or loose bearings or what's all in there, but we'll find out. And there's loose bearings in there, so don't lose these bearings because you want to measure how, the size of them and how many there are. And then I can pull the spindle out like that. Okay, so now I'm going to try to remove this fix cup here. I've already sprayed a little bit of penetrating oil in from the other side to try to get it soaked in there. And now on older, like vintage Italian bikes that are actually made in Italy, the fix cup is going to be right-hand threaded. So to unscrew this, you're going to turn it counterclockwise. Most like non-Italian, non-vintage French bikes, the cup is left-hand threaded, so you turn it clockwise. But like on older French and Italian bikes, they're right-hand threaded. So this has got like 3 notches on there, so I don't know. I don't have a specific tool for this. So I'm going to use what's called an adjustable hook spanner, and so kind of hook into one of these little notches here and see if I can get this to break loose. There we go. There. So now that I unscrew this here, I have the bike turned upside down here just to give me a little bit better access to unscrew this here. And so there is my fix cup off. Okay, I cleaned off the parts I removed, all the old grease, and I even threw them into a vapor rust to kind of remove the rust that was on them, and they look pretty good. Now these are the 2 cotter pins that I removed out of here. This one fit pretty nicely, but it was really tight and got munched up when I removed it, so I'm gonna have to replace this one. Here's the other one. This one was sticking out a bit, and so it was replaced, but notice that the angle here is steeper than on this one. So this one was replaced, but they never bothered to file it down, and it's pretty ugly anyway. So I'm gonna make 2 brand new cotter pins. To measure them here, I got like a little gauge here. I can pop that in there, and these are 9mm cotter pins. And so I have 2 brand new cotter pins here, and these are 9mm cotter pins. But I'm going to need to file them down so that they match like the angle on this one here. Okay, so I got the cotter pin here mounted in a vise, and I want to file this down so that I match the angle here, the taper of this other pin here. So just using a file, I'm just going to very patiently get to work. Okay, all done. I filed these 2 pins down to as closely match the angle on this pin as best I could. The length of the taper is about the same there, from here down to there. And also I measured the width down to here as closely as I could, and that's what, about 6.7 millimeters there, and I tried to match that as closely as I could on there. Here doesn't need to be exact, but you try to want to get the width down here and then the taper, have this as flat as possible as well. So anyway, both these pins should work. Okay, here's one of the original bearings, and I believe it's a 1/4 inch, so I can measure this on my gauge here, and so that goes through nice and smoothly there, but it doesn't go through the 7/32. So this is a 1/4 inch bearing, and there were 11 of them on each side, and I have some brand new bearings here, so I'm going to install those. I'm going to start off by filling both the cups here with some grease down in the races here. So I'm using marine grade grease, and just kind of fill this in here like this, and down here as well. And get some of my bearings here, and then just fill the race in the cup there with 11 bearings. It should form a continuous circle around the race. And so there, I have both cups filled with bearings now. Okay, I still want to clean out the inside and around the bottom bracket shell here. So I'm going to use just some degreaser and spray that in there and around here and get all this cleaned up, all while I have the crankset off and the bottom bracket out. I'm going to use a toothbrush to kind of clean out these threads here and just get rid of all this gunk that's inside that shell. Okay, got everything all cleaned up, so I'm ready to install the fixed cup here. I'm going to put like a little bit of the marine grease onto the threads here, and that should keep it from, should make it go on nice and smoothly, and also help it keep it from like creaking later on. And this being right hand threaded, it's going to turn in clockwise. So I'll get it started. It should go in nice and smoothly. I want to make sure I don't cross thread it. So I'll get this in as far as I can by hand. And it's going on all the way there. And then using my adjustable hook spanner here, get that hooked on there like this. And I want to get this nice and tight as it was on initially. Pulling off, I want to try to get that as tight as I can going back on. So get on nice and tight, and get this on nice and tight here. Okay, I've got the spindle here, and it's asymmetric, so one side is longer than the other. The longer side is going to go out through the drive side because that's longer, so that for the chain rings and everything to fit on there. So I'm going to put it in like this, and before I put it in, I'm going to put like a little bit of grease, just kind of down on here, just a thin coating here to help keep it from like rusting inside there at all, so it's not just bare metal. And also just a little bit here on the races, even though there's grease all over the bearings and everything like that. So I'm going to slide this in, making sure I don't like knock any bearings out of the cup on the other side there. And it turns nice and smoothly. And then I've got my adjustable cup here. And again, I want to put like a little bit of grease onto the threads here. It's not like an aluminum frame here. If it's aluminum frame, I definitely want to do this to help prevent galvanic corrosion in there. But this is steel on steel. It still helps it seal the bottom bracket here from water getting in, and keeps everything, so it'll come off nice and smoothly later on if I want to take it off. And this will turn in clockwise. I want to make sure I get it in there nice and straight. I don't want to cross thread it, so it should turn in nice and smoothly. There we go. I'm going to turn this all the way in until it hits the bearings. There's still a lot of play, so it needs to go in a little bit farther. There. So I'm going to turn it into where it hits the bearings, maybe back it off just a little bit. Because the trick is, when adjusting a bottom bracket, is you want it as tight to where you don't get play, but not so tight to where it's going to bind. So you got to find that fine line between the 2 points there. And so now I got my lock ring on here. So I'm going to get this on here. Again, I don't want to cross thread it. So I want to kind of hold the adjustable cup here, maybe back it off just a little bit, and then tighten the lock ring, and tighten this lock ring on. And test it, and it turns smoothly, and there's maybe just a touch of play in there. So maybe tighten this in just maybe just a hair in like that. Make sure it turns smoothly, and maybe just a hair in there. It's good, all just very fine tuning. Be patient. That feels pretty good there. So let me see if I can get this lock ring on there. Tighten down. Turns nice and smoothly. And maybe just a touch of play, but that's fine. That feels pretty good like that. Okay, so now I'm ready to mount the non-drive side arm here, and I want the Atala thing here facing out, and so that's going to go on here, and so there's a notch in the spindle there. That's going to line up with this hole where the cotter pin is going to go, so that's going to slide on there like that. And there's a little bit of debate about which is the proper way for the pin to go in, like this or like this. And I think the more common way is for the pin to go in with the butt end here facing this way. So just slide that in there like this, and I'm going to tap this in like that. And bring around, get the washer on and the nut on. You do not want to use the nut to pull the pin into the spindle there, because those threads, you'll just strip them right out. The nut here is more to lock the pin into place, not to actually pull it into place. So tighten this on there, like that. Tap the pin in there like this, and tighten this on some more. And tighten that on some more. Now after some rides, you may want to go back and check this and tighten this down a little bit more to make sure that this is locked into place, because as you ride a little bit, this may loosen up a little bit, and so then you may want to tighten this down a little bit. Tap that in, tighten that down. Let's do the other side. Okay, so I got this side over here, and so the other arm's facing down, so let's put this on with the arm facing up 180 degrees from the other side. And then I can slide the pin in here. Again, I want to have it so that the butt end is facing like forward here, and I can get that into place here like this. So it should be 180 degrees from the other side. So here the threads are facing up, here the threads are facing down, and kind of get that in there, and get the washer on here and get the lock nut on here. Tighten that. Okay, and I'm not worried about the bearings in there. I am not like just totally slamming down on this. I'm tapping down on this. And so the bearings in there are going to be pretty tough, but I'm not like just wailing on this here to where I'm putting a lot of stress down on the bearings. So I'm just kind of tapping down on the pin and actually even supporting the arm a little bit. I'll tap that down and tighten this a little bit more. Like that. Nice. Now I can go ahead and put the chain on to the chain ring there. Like that. Well, I put pedals on there, and so now it's all done. Nice, clean, freshly overhauled bottom bracket, and everything turns nice and smoothly. I still have a ton of work to do on the bike. Replace this chain for one, it's worn and loose. Anyway, I hope you found this useful or interesting. If you did, please click like on my video. It helps me out. If you're not subscribed to my channel, click the big subscribe button and you'll see new videos as they come out. And I have a webpage, rjthebikeguy.com. Go over there, subscribe to that page. I have forums over there. You can post in the forums, ask questions. I have all my videos categorized. And I'm also over on Facebook, RJ the Bike Guy. Go over there, like that page. I post a lot of stuff over there as well. Anyway, thank you very much for watching.